This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, everyone. Bruchim Abom. We continue in the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. We are up to Ois Mem Zayin. Ois Mem Zayin in the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. He zoher. Be careful. Shaloi tismaich bilvavcha. Do not rely on your own heart. Meaning, don't rely on your own perception of the matter. Don't rely on your own observations and your own calculations. Don't say, look, I'm a very smart person and I know how to accord myself, I know how to act, I know how to handle the situation, I don't need anyone else's advice. But one should always be readily open and desirous of hearing advice from other people about everything. Rav Goldberg cites the Mishnah Berurah, the Mesilas Yesharim, Parak Chav Gimel. Mesilas Yesharim says one should always contemplate to recognize chulshas haseichel hanushi, the frailty of human logic, v'roiv ta'usa v'chsavav, and his abundance and his proclivity for mistake and falsehood. Sheyoiser karoiv loy tamud hatas mehayidiyah ha'amitis, because a person is more likely to err than to know something truthfully. So at our Shabbos table, I am notorious for, before any of my kids tell a story, preempting it. I probably shouldn't do this, but preempting it by saying, whatever the story is, I don't believe it. I don't believe stories. I once heard from Avigdor Miller, 90% of stories are not true. And even when I'm telling you that Rav Miller said, he never said that either. No, that's a joke. But basically, the Mesilas Yesharim is saying that people don't get things right. People tend to misinterpret and misunderstand. But it's humorous when you say it about other people. But as George Bernard Shaw would say, when it comes to self-delusion, every man is a genius. Which means that we basically make a lot of mistakes. We make a lot of errors, and one should be very open to hearing advice and direction from other people. The Mesilas Yesharim says, "Al ken yirei tamid mehasakana hazois." You should always be afraid of this danger of making a mistake, and always want to learn from other people, and always want to hear advice and counsel from other people. Now, we see from the Mesilas Yesharim that one should not only think they sometimes make a mistake, but one should say, you know what? I may always make a mistake, and therefore one should always be open to advice. The Chazon Ish in the Kovetz Igroi says a line, it's frightening to even think it. He says, "Va'ani malei te'uyois tamid." I am always full of mistakes. Pam b'svara, pam b'gemara. Chazon Ish knew everything perfectly. He didn't err, not even an iota, and he says about himself, he's malei te'uyos. Now the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh says, don't rely on your heart. He doesn't say on your das. And Rav Goldberg explains because what is causing a person to make a mistake and to err is his leiv, his taiva. Like Rabbeinu Yoina says, taiva is placed in the heart of man, which is the root of all actions. And if you fix your taiva, you will act properly. So it's the leiv which is the source of error. Ushema idsa. Always be willing to hear advice. Rav Goldberg quotes the Medrash in Vayikra Rabbah. Why did the sons of Aaron die? Bar Kapara said, for 4 reasons. And because one of them is they didn't take advice from each other, and they brought Ishmach Tasai. Here, one of the reasons they're being punished is each one relied on their own das, and they didn't ask each other advice. And then the Rosh says, "V'kabel moser," accept rebuke. Doesn't matter from whom. Doesn't have to be from a great person. If it's someone else, an objective source, then it could be very beneficial, like we learned yesterday in Ois Memhei, that one should be sameach b'shamacha toichachas kamoitze shalorav. And then the Rosh says, V'tiyah zoriz lasos kol ma shemuta alecha lasos. You should be energetic to do everything that's upon you to do. Okay, that's very nice. I'm sure we would all agree that one should be a zoriz to do everything they gotta do. What does that have to do with not relying on your own seichel and always taking advice? What does one thing have to do with each other? You should be a zariz. Why? Okay, I understand that, but why is that connected to not relying on your own bina and your own eitzah? So Rav Goldberg explains the connection is as follows. What is the reason that it's so important to do things immediately, energetically, and not delay? As the Mesil Shalom says, basically, that when a person delays doing a mitzvah, ein sakana kesakanase, there's no greater danger. Because every moment there could arise some kind of impediment. As the Mesil Hashem says, harbe kategorim mekan v'yad gichain. Chazal say that when the Melech Yisrael was anointed, he was told, go down, quickly anoint. But it's just down the mountain. No, you never know what could happen by that until you get down the mountain. So a person might say, nah, I'm in control. I'll make sure nothing gets in my way. Do it now, I'll do it later. What do you mean you'll do it later? You might not forget. Nah, me forget? I never forget. So it's the same midah. The midah of relying on your own seichel and ability is the same midah that causes a person to procrastinate and not to be afraid maybe they'll forget. Umikol mishmar nitzar libecha. And from whatever you guard your heart. This is a pasuk in Mishlei, Parak Daled, pasuk Gimel, that from everything you guard your heart. From everything that you have to be on top of, you have to guard your heart, as we just quoted from Rabbeinu Yoina, that the heart is the seat of taiva and the source of all actions. And therefore, the Rabbeinu Yoina says, if you're masakin your taiva, instead of all your evarim serving your taiva, they will be drawn after seichel. So therefore, from everything you guard your heart. Because the heart is the seat of taiva, and if that is aligned and that is in order, then all your actions will be in order. Okay, one more ois. Al takom mimitascha keish atzel. Do not get out of bed like a lazy man. I set my alarm for 5:30 a.m. so I could press snooze 17 times. No, that's not a good practice. Don't get out of bed like a lazy man. Kiyim Zerizus, with energy. Question. The Rosh just said, whatever you do, you should be zariz to do whatever you got to do. One of the things you got to do is get up. So why do I need a separate ois that I should get up with Zerizus? Furthermore, he already said, don't get up like a lazy man. What is he adding? Get up with Zerizus. So the Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Aleph, Yizgaber ka'ari, get up like a lion. Do we fulfill that? You know, lachar mea ve'esrim shana, at least you want to be able to say, okay, yeah, I did the first thing. Yizgaber ka'ari. The Mishnah Berurah says, don't get up suddenly, delay, you should be yisha ma'at. I guess we're very makbid on the shir of ma'at, but the Elya Rabbah says a person shouldn't say, I'll just sleep a little bit more, I'll think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu under my warm and cozy blanket. One should get up to be Mekayim, Hikoin Likras Elokecha Yisrael. And the Elya Rabbah says to get up on one's feet so that you don't go back to sleep. Now, apparently, if it requires Zerizus to get up, even though the Rosh already told us that one should get up Zerizus, that means there's a specific emphasis that the get up has to be Zerizus, and that is because this is how we start the day, and the way we start the day sets the tone for the entire day. The rest of the day will be following the manner with which we woke up, and therefore, as important as Zerizus is, it is the manner with which we wake up that will set the tone for the rest of the day. And the pasuk says in Parshas Balak, "Hein am kilavi yakum v'cha'ari yisnasa." Rashi brings down, when we get up from our sleep in the morning, we're mizgaber ka'ari kilavi lachtoif hamitzvos. Similar to the story we said before, the Rabbi Lapian, it's brought in the Hakdama of the Lev Eliyahu, that they once came into Rabbi Lapian's room to bring him breakfast, and they saw he was very tired. They said, "Rebbe, why are you so tired?" He said, "I got up before Alois HaShachar." He said, well, Shachar is 7 o'clock, why do you have to get up before Alois? He said, well, the books say that when you get upstairs, they're going to ask you if you were Mekayim the Torah. So, they're going to ask you, they're going to go through the Shulchan Aruch. The first statement in the Shulchan Aruch is, Yizgaber ka'ari la'moid ba'boiker, sheyehehu me'oira shachar. You should wake up the morning. So Rabbi Lapian said, I don't want to get caught up in the first question. At least I want to be able to answer the first question in the affirmative. So, Rav Goldberg has an interesting idea, and that is, why do we need to say, we get up like a lion to grab talis and tefillin? Why do you need to grab it? Are these mitzvahs running away from us that we need to grab them? I mean, by the end of the morning, we'll probably have put on our talis and tefillin. What exactly do we need to grab with talis and tefillin? So basically he says it's because we're so habitual in the performance of the talis and tefillin, so we tend to be mekayim the mitzvah out of habit, out of rote, without being mechavein, that we're being mekayim the mitzvah da'iraisa of wearing talis, and being mechavein, we're mekayim the talis l'man tizkru v'asisem eskol mitzvosai, and we're putting on the tefillin to be mekayim a mitzvah da'iraisa, and we're mekayim the tefillin l'man tia Torah Hashem beficha, and that we're doing the mitzvah be'ahava u'v'yira, and to do, so we do it by rote. So we need to get up as Zerizus and grab these mitzvahs that they should be performed in the proper oifen. Okay, Marv Rabbi, we'll continue tomorrow, Eis Mem Tes. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a wonderful night. Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.